Handoff, Adrian up the middle, room to the 20, cuts to the left to the 25, and Adrian's loose! He splits the defense! 50, 40, 30, goodbye, baby! Touchdown!
We bleed purple, and our bones are gold. Hear the horns coming out of our dome, behold. We are Minnesota Vikings fans. We love when a player scores, we roar, ignite the stand.
Hey everyone, you are listening to the Purple People podcast. I'm Kyle West. We got Adam Carlson.
Heyo.
We got Kyle Smith.
How now, Brown Cow?
And we have Vikings football to talk about. Lots
We do.
of stuff. But first, we got a show number and title.
We do.
Adam?
I'd like to welcome everyone to episode number 143 of the Purple People podcast. This one is titled Forget Harris. Now, I don't know how many of you guys remember that wonderful, delightful, romantic comedy, Forget Paris, back in 1995. Billy Crystal and Deborah Winger just trying to make it work and having laughs along the way.
And on that note, thank you for listening to the Purple People podcast.
As a kid, what I loved was, I went and saw it in the theater when I was like 12 or something. Well, it must have been 15 because it was when it came out. But there were NBA players in it, and it kind of centered around basketball a bit. And I was a huge basketball fan. And the fact that Billy Crystal was a basketball referee in that movie it appealed to me and made it one of those movies that I won't forget.
I have never seen that movie.
It's one to watch once, I'd say.
I'll have to
Check it out.
I'm pretty sure that I saw the preview for it on one of my VHS cassette tapes back in the
There
day.
you
So
go.
Thank you.
VHS is where it's at. But let's get into the quick hits, where we have a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
The first quick hit comes to us from the Chicago Bears, who have decided to take Vladimir Ducasse off our hands on a one-year deal. I know that this is not going to be his team as much as Teddy Bridgewater's anymore, no matter how much Teddy says, but I wish Vladimir Ducasse the best of luck in Chicago.
Yep, and Chicago may have done us a favor because we may get one of those comp picks in the draft for losing him. We're not quite sure because nobody's ever quite sure how the NFL hands those out, but it could possibly...
we know how much Rick Spielman loves those sevens.
Yes, it could possibly be a 7th round pick, and that is like a wet dream for Rick Spielman to have
He loves it.
another 7th round pick. So
Just keep piling them on.
Mhm.
This quick hit I haven't read before right now, so let's have some fun with it.
You want me to read
Let's
this
do
one?
it.
I wrote it.
Yeah,
I can read
all
it.
right.
Okay, Jerome Felton, you remember him. He's a good player. Well, he signed with
Sure.
Buffalo. He's no longer with us, but I always like to follow our former players, especially when they talk to the media, because oftentimes you will hear more from a former player talking about the team that he was previously on than a current player talking about the team that he is currently on. So, Jerome had a couple quotes that I wrote down that I thought were interesting. One of them is that he said, basically, with the Adrian situation, it changed meaning the Minnesota Vikings, it changed our offense. I guess I thought that was interesting because, for two reasons. One is that, obviously, going into the season last year, they were going to be a run-first team with Adrian and Matt Castle, and then Matt Castle goes down, and Adrian is gone after week 1, and suddenly it's the Teddy Bridgewater show. And so that changed the whole dynamic just kind of on the fly for the team. And then the second quote was that he wanted to go someplace that he could be used and used extensively, which I think was interesting because we all kind of debated on the show last season as to why they were not using Jerome Felton more in Minnesota. And so we know that he voided his contract, and hearing him say that, he wanted to go someplace where he can be used extensively, Minnesota, they didn't use him hardly at all last year, so I totally understand why he wanted to go. And the last quote, and that was another interesting one, was that he said that he was probably one of the more vocal players on the team about Adrian's situation. And you can read into that a number of ways, and I would say that with him being vocal in supporting Adrian. Maybe that was part of the reason why they didn't bring him back. I know that's maybe not a popular opinion, but you never know. You never know.
No, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when Adrian went down, we talked about this on the show. The whole team's offensive
Mm-hmm.
dynamic changed. You can't really rely on a guy like Matt Asiata to be the same kind of threat that Adrian Peterson is. And of course, the offensive coordinator and the team knew this.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to adjust things, and with that, Jerome Felton's role got reduced. And I can understand how that would frustrate him and how it would really make him kind of not very happy. I can
Mm-hmm.
get that.
Jerome's a hell of a
I
player.
agree.
He will do. I think he'll have a good season with Buffalo. And hey, we save some cap space, and we don't really use the fullback that much under North Turner's system. So Zach Lyon will be able to come in and probably do just fine for Minnesota. So it works out best for both parties that he's no longer with us. But I'm still a really big fan of his and wish he was here in a larger role. But what can you do?
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
If you see LaShawn McCoy's numbers get better or stay the same because they were awesome the last couple of years, yes, it might be Buffalo's line, but Jerome's a great blocker.
Yeah.
He can catch too, and when he catches, it's really fun to watch. Little scrawny linebackers or some corners try to take him down. He likes to plow right through him.
Oh, yeah.
But I like Jerome a lot. I am sad to see him go, but like I said, he didn't get used a lot last year, and I wish he would have with a rookie running back and the backup in there for most of the time. Just, I don't know. But best of luck to you in Buffalo, man.
And I'm not even going to speculate on the next quick hit, so one of you guys can grab that one.
I'll do it.
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
I'll take that one. Adrian Peterson to the Arizona Cardinals trade rumors. Rumors are out there. AP's contract is the sticking point for the trade. That if it's going to actually happen, Adrian takes up what? Correct me if I'm wrong. $13 million. And
Sounds
it's like
about right.
Yeah, somewhere around there for this year. The Vikings. I read this today. I saw the video on it too. It was on NBC or something like that. The Vikings own Adrian's rights. All we've got to do is say, "We own you. You can't go anywhere.
Report
There's
to
no
camp."
loophole." Also, we want to pay you $13 million this season to play for us. Deal with it. Now, if we want to give him to another team, he's going to think about restructuring, all that good stuff. But that aside, supposedly, and take this with a grain of salt, but supposedly Arizona was willing to deal a second round for AP, and in exchange, we give up AP and give up a 7th round selection.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what your guys' thoughts on it is. I'll go around the table before I get in there. I'm probably going to piss off a lot of people with my answer. So you guys go first.
All right, what'll happen will happen. Nothing we can do about it. We're already prepared in case they trade. So, yeah, what'll happen will happen. I'm ready. Team's ready. Let's just get past it.
It's all speculation, so you never know for sure. You would like to think that you can get a first-round pick out of Adrian because, hey, we all got the Vikings bias for him. Even when we talk negatively about him, I still feel like, it's Adrian, give us a first-round pick. But second-round value is still a hell of a value for an aging running back. But like I said, this is all speculation. You never really know what was going to happen with it. Adrian should realize, though, that if he wants the max amount of money, stay in Minnesota. Because it's pretty obvious that no other team is going to pick him up and pay him what the Vikings are willing to pay him per the contract that he already signed. Now, you can talk about more guaranteed money, blah, blah, blah. I don't even want to get into that right now. If you want your money, stay in Minnesota. But you're under contract, so what you want doesn't really matter at this point. Right?
It's pretty true.
Yeah.
It could go so many ways. I want to keep it condensed. You're right. We own him, his rights, and either way, we're going to decide his fate. And he can, grab his ears and pitch a fit all he wants, but ultimately we're going to have a say-so. And we're not going to just get rid of a player like that for, a can of soda. We're going to get something out of it. And like you said, if he wants to maximize his money, he'll stay here. I think Adrian's made a ton of money over his career. I think he's more than set for his lifetime. My personal opinion, based on him just constantly saying he's not happy, saying he doesn't want to be here. I won't say that we had a great season, but we did okay without him. And I am, like Adam said, I am more than ready to move on if that's what it is. However, if he came back, would I be mad? Absolutely not.
No.
But I think the actual basis right now, I'm more for Adrian parting and going his separate ways, getting a fresh start. I don't ever want to play against him, but I can't take away what the guy's done for the team. We all love him, but I think we're all in agreement. If we could come to one thing, it's make a decision and stick with it, and let's freaking move on, because we have a draft to worry about. We have OTAs. We have mini camps to talk about. This is not something that's going to be positive for the team if it keeps continuing to drag on.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk a little bit of fun stuff here now. MSU cornerback Trey Waynes was set to visit the Vikings. I know that I'm a big fan of how physical of a corner he is. He reminds me a lot of Xavier Rhodes when he came out in college. That same kind of physical player that's going to have to learn to tone it down a little bit just because of the way it's different in college play compared to the NFL. But they need that big corner that can start opposite Rhodes so they can finally move Mutterland back to the slot duties where he's most effective.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see the Vikings doing that, but there's one little block in the way there because the Vikings did have a visit from cornerback Terrence Newman, who could fill that role for the Vikings and possibly make that draft pick not as big of a need.
Mm-hmm. Although I really like the idea of drafting another corner and just having another young prospect that Mike Zimmer can mold, because you've seen what he did with Xavier Rhodes with only one season of working with him, and so I expect.
Oh, the Vikings will address the cornerback position in the draft.
Yeah, for sure.
Is not that it might not be a first.
Yeah, in the first round. I get what you're saying, but I would really like to see them go corner in the first. Although now I'm kind of getting off into draft speculation. I think they're at a point where they're going to go just best available at number 11 in a multitude of spots on defense, depending on who's on the board. But yeah, corner, they're going to draft a corner, whether it's in the first or the fifth or whatever. There's going to be corners coming in.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah. Yep.
Another
I'm
guy
all
that came
for
in to
it.
visit is safety Taylor Mays. They're doing what they can to make sure that this secondary finally gets secured.
Yeah, which
We
we're
can't
all...
wait for that too. What if we turned into the team that you don't necessarily? I'm not an Aaron Rodgers or a Matt Stafford's not going to be scared to throw any time ever, but we're not going to be an afterthought when it comes to that. What if we finally become that team? And not only that, what if we address the safety issue as well?
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine having two badass corners and then somebody enough to match Harrison Smith out there? I mean, that's just, I can't imagine us ever being like that, because I just keep seeing over in my mind, Chris Cook getting burned so many years in a row. But I think it's pretty exciting. I'm with you. I don't know where you're at, Adam, but I think I'm with Kyle on that. If you want to go to 11 and go get a corner, go get him. Chicago went and got a corner last year at, I think, 8, and he was fantastic. So, no, you can never have too many good corners. And Mike Zimmer has said that plenty of times in interviews before.
No, it's never too early to go and get the player you want.
Mm-hmm. And here's where I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit, Mr. Smith. I'm going to say that underneath Mike Zimmer, it is definitely his goal to have a defense that reaches the point where the great Aaron Rodgers is going to go, I don't want to throw against this Mike Zimmer defense. That is a goal for this team. And he will find the players to get that done. We will have a top-ranked winning defense in Minnesota. I believe that will happen.
I still hope you're right.
I could see that too. Just with his mentality, is shoot for the moon.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of the NFC North move from the black and blue division to the shootout division.
Mm-hmm.
Just teams that aren't really focusing as much as defense as they should in these high-scoring games. The high-powered Green Bay offense, Chicago being able to just pour points on with Forte and those big wide receivers. The Lions just, I don't even know what they're doing at times, but man, they load up on offense, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Vikings to take that defensive approach would be something different in the division. something kind of fun. And if they can get that secondary lockdown, I think that it would be something real interesting for this team to move forward with. And I think it could be really valuable.
Especially for a young quarterback like Teddy Bridgewater. To have a defense that can go out there and force a lot of turnovers, get short fields and points for your young rookie, well, rookie-ish, he'll be coming into his second-year quarterback, like, that's a really big deal for Teddy. That would help him out immensely.
That's true. The lower the defense can keep the score, the less points the offense has to score.
Yep.
That's the way football works, man.
Yeah, totally.
And I love it.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned in the title of the show, Harris, offensive tackle Mike Harris, was brought back to the Vikings. He hopes to compete for that starting left guard spot. I wrote right because I'm a dum-dum.
Right or left. Maybe he can play both. Maybe he has the talent to do either or. Yeah, of course.
That's one of the nice things, though, is to have that spot open for competition among everybody. And why not have Mike Harris compete for that job?
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason not to.
The more the merrier on the offensive line. I think we're at the point on offense where if they draft at 11 offense, it's going to be somewhere on the line. I'm sure you would maybe agree with that, Adam.
No.
No, you don't. Are you going to disagree with me?
No, I actually think that our next quick hit might have brought up another problem.
Oh, you think they could go maybe receiver?
Because our next quick hit is that the Vikings have released wide receiver Greg Jennings. And they released him with an injury designation, failed physical, because Greg Jennings had surgery on his elbow.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't for any other reason. It's not that he actually failed a physical on the team. It's just that he couldn't pass it because he just had surgery.
Yeah, and I think from what I've read on Twitter, that is some kind of do a favor for him, because then the Vikings pay for his rehab for that or something. I really don't know. That's one of those loopholes, whatever that teams do. We know how Rick Spielman loves his loopholes.
That's true. It is. It's like a nice little severance package kind of thing. The two do seem to have split kind of amicably, so
yeah,
at least that's good.
Yeah.
Thank God, too. What a classic guy. And I read, too, I'm sure you guys will read part of his statement here, but
Mr.
I read
West's
some
going
stuff
to, actually.
online that he's going to keep his family and his foundation in Minnesota, and that speaks volumes. I mean, there's life after football. There's all that other stuff to consider, and he's choosing to stay because Minnesota rocks, and it's just plain to see that. What a classic guy! I am sad to see him go, but
I was very sad to see Jennings get cut.
especially last year. Everybody
week,
talks about money and stuff for him. I'm sorry to interrupt you, man. He just seemed okay. He's getting paid a lot. I wish they could have came to an agreement on price, because his numbers did improve from the year before, and he was our leading receiver in every category. So it was really sad. You don't catch that a lot, where you've got an outstanding person off the field who's very, very dedicated on the field too.
After talking about how much that Greg Jennings would complement the new Mike Wallace, and then having this happen, it really threw me for a bit of a loop, because I thought those two would work really well together. But I guess not everything can be the way it is. And now Mr. West is going to read a little bit from the statement that Greg Jennings released.
Yeah, Greg Jennings, classy as ever, released a statement following his release that I'm going to read from here a little bit. He says, and I quote, "I would like to thank the Minnesota Vikings organization. It was an honor to play for such a great franchise for the past 2 seasons. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with the team and made some good friends. I would also like to thank the Vikings fans who warmly welcomed me and my family. Being a part of the Vikings and the Minnesota community has been a positive experience and a true blessing. I respect the organization's decision to part ways and to do so amicably. I wish the best to the young and talented group of men on the team. Although I continue my career with a different organization, my family and I will still make our home in Minnesota. Since we are raising our family in Minneapolis, the Greg Jennings Foundation will remain committed to improving the lives of all children throughout education in Minneapolis and my hometown of Kalamazoo, Michigan. I did not know that that was where he was from, but that is really awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, God bless you all. I look forward to running into you all at the Mall of America. Hashtag be great. That pretty much sums up Greg Jennings just through and through. That is a really fantastic statement. It's sad. Here's my controversial statement that they cut a guy who I feel like really wanted to be here to bring in another guy who was like, I don't want to play in the cold. Didn't necessarily wanted to sign here 2 years ago, but now I'm here, and I really feel like Vikings PR department went into overdrive with Mike
Oh my
Wallace
gosh.
to be like, yeah, he wants to be here, and let's just friggin' pray that Mike Wallace legitimately does want to be here, because I don't know. I wish Greg Jennings was still with the team. I wish there was a way for them both to have worked out in Minnesota, but it didn't happen, so hey, I look forward to seeing whatever Mr. Jennings does next.
Yeah, we definitely wish him luck wherever he goes next. Even if it's back to Green Bay, like it's been speculated a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
Greg Jennings deserves the best because he did give it his all here in Minnesota. He survived so many different starting quarterbacks during his couple of years here.
What?
Oh, man, it's been rough for him.
I think he'll go to Carolina. That is just kind of my initial
That-
thought. I'm going to
Get
throw that out
of
there.
my freaking brain. I was trying to wait to say that. Ah, man, stole
Yeah,
that
Mr.
right
Smith
off of-
said that to me last week.
Did you really?
They need a veteran receiver
Uh-huh.
out there who can be a solid number 2. They have Kelvin Benjamin. I'm sorry I know so much about Carolina, guys. It's my hometown.
Hey, it's
If I
cool.
wasn't a Vikings fan, I'd probably be a Panthers fan. But they need somebody out there because you can't keep chucking to the same guy all the time unless it's Calvin Johnson. So, Greg, I don't know if you're going to be the guy that's calling. Get your agent to call down to Carolina and whisper some sweet nothings down there because they could definitely use you.
I think Cam Newton, we don't mean to turn this into the Carolina Panthers podcast, but I think I think Cam Newton and the rest of especially the Panthers fans too, they sorely missed Steve Smith. Just the absence of having that veteran receiver out there, and Greg Jennings can step in for them, and he can fill that role for Carolina, and that would be just a fantastic thing for them to have. So I would say that would be a strong destination for him.
All right, then we had a social media question this week on our Facebook page. We asked, are you happy, mad, or don't care about the Mike Wallace acquisition? And we also asked, as a second part of that, does it make you think differently on how we should approach the draft? We got quite a few very interesting answers. And there were some that were just a little out there, but sometimes it's those out there answers that actually make the most sense right after you piece them together.
The out there ones are always my favorite. I like to hear from the out there ones first.
And it sounds like a lot of people think that the Vikings should still go wide receiver with the top pick.
Oh, of course.
Lee Montgomery says, take wide receiver for the future. Tom Spees says, Wallace is not young. Take the top wideout at 11. And Thomas Buge says, I think in the long run it will be good. He isn't the best wide receiver, but he's a better threat than Jennings was. But Jennings wasn't a head case risk and a better locker room leader. I like the fact that it gives a little leeway for us in the draft, but I would have loved to get Parker. And of course, he's talking about Devontae Parker, former Louisville teammate of Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, I think we all wanted Parker back on the team. I know I would have loved that one. Not back on the team, excuse me.
Back with
back
Teddy.
with Teddy Bridgewater.
We got a couple people saying that they want Sheriff on the team
I like those people. Send those people
to help
teach.
solidify the offensive line. And we got some people saying that tight end Max Williams, probably just because he's a Minnesota boy, and they want to see him stay in Minnesota and catch some touchdowns. So I can see what they'd like there.
I would love that. That'd be good. We don't really need a tight end, but hey, you can never have enough anything really in this league, so why not?
And Daniel Whitford made a really good statement. He wrote, I'm happy. The Vikings wanted him when he was a free agent, so obviously they thought he'd work in the system.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't going to pay Wallace and Jennings $9 million each, and since they couldn't work out a deal, Jennings got cut. And that's true. It's pretty much what happened. When the Vikings want someone, they go and get him. And that's what I've always said on the show about Rick Spielman. And the fact that he wanted Mike Wallace that bad to make this happen shows how valuable he could be to this team.
Mm-hmm.
So, although I'm skeptical, I'm buying in because this team is heading in the right direction.
I just hope it's not another
me
Percy
wrong, Mike
Harvin
Wallace.
situation for us. I hope it's not a guy who next season is going on to his third team in 3 years because he can't get along in the locker room. There's some negative things said out there about him, but I want to spin this into the positive. We should not have lost to the Dolphins this past year. If you go look at Mike Wallace's awareness, the touchdown that he had against our best corner in Xavier Rhodes, unbelievable awareness. Especially, oh my God, the days he had in Pittsburgh, he's damn good. I realize that Ryan Tannehill is not Ben Roethlisberger, but he's not a terrible quarterback. So
No.
I have faith with young Mr. Bridgewater and just the system that Norv runs. Like, I feel like, in my opinion, we're paying about the same money that we would for Greg Jennings, but we got a little bit younger, still a little bit more brightness to the flame, if you will. And although the personalities off the field from, reports aren't the same, on the field, I think we got a better player if we're going to pay that kind of money. So I'm with you, man. I'm very, very hesitant to say this, but I'm buying in on
I'm
Mike
not going to say
Wallace.
better player, but I'm going to say different player.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because Greg Jennings and Mike Wallace provide completely different things for a team. Greg Jennings is that safety blanket, that reliable guy that you're going to want to pick up first downs, have easy catches, that pick up some yards, make things easier. Mike Wallace is that deep threat, that home run guy. And really, we've been missing that in Minnesota for a long time. Remember what happened last time the Vikings tried drafting a guy to be the deep threat?
I prefer not to remember that.
We ended up with a guy named Troy Williamson. And that situation, friends, did not work out well.
I will say, for one of the positives for Mike Wallace, is that
No, don't call him Mike Williamson.
yeah, is that you guys got to remember here is that the Ponder era is over. So the times of bringing in players and then just absolutely wasting them because we don't have any kind of offense are over with. We do have Teddy Bridgewater, who I feel like can get the most out of guys. I really think that he can be that quarterback that can get the most out of his receivers. So, hey, he is entering into what I think is a good situation with the Vikings offense. So, let's just hope for the best, right?
That's
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll go into our discussion about off-season needs, and we're going to talk about linebackers. This should be a pretty quick one because most of the guys that are going to be competing for jobs at linebacker are already on the team. We know that Anthony Barr is going to be a starter.
Really?
We're going to pencil that right in.
Breaking news
And then
at
we're gonna
Purple People
copy over it with
Podcast.
a pen.
Anthony Barr, starter.
Chad Greenway is still on this team, and I do believe the team still has faith in him.
I believe he restructured his contract too. Did I read that earlier today? Or was that just...
I don't know. I've been real busy today.
That may have been the really strong rumor that was going to be announced here shortly, is that he restructured a deal to stick around with the Vikings.
Well, I do see that happening
Mhm.
if that is the case, because we've already heard that Greenway wants to stay in Minnesota for a year and then possibly hang up his cleats.
Mhm.
So hopefully they can make that happen. Then we do have question marks at the middle linebacker position. Jasper Brinkley has moved on, went down to Dallas, and we don't really have a starter penciled in there. We do have a couple good young guys that could compete for it. Audie Cole has shown some promise when plugged in there. Michael Maudy hasn't really had a chance to show what he can do there. And, of course, there's always the draft if they want to address it there.
Which I think they will at some point. Maybe not in the first round, but you could see a later round guy brought in.
So the linebacker position is going to be real interesting. We haven't even mentioned guys like Gerald Hodges, who has played well in the past and when given opportunities. And I think that he is actually a pretty good option to split time with Chad
Hmm.
Greenway,
Yep.
especially when it comes to passing downs where you got to be a little faster on the trigger because although I love Chad Greenway, I've got his jersey, I've loved watching him play. He doesn't have the speed that he used to. He still has the instincts, but he just can't quite get there.
Hmm.
Hodges has that speed and he can get it done. All right, so that's all I have for linebackers. Do you guys want anything else you want to talk about there?
I guess
No.
I'll keep mine quick, and then I'll let Kyle Smith say whatever he would like to say about them. It's a group where you have a lot of talent,
Youth and
youth,
competition.
youth and talent and competition, but you don't quite know where guys exactly are 100% going to fit in. But I feel like that's a good problem for Mike Zimmer to have because you got guys that you can work out and you can move around and figure out exactly how you want to utilize them because there is talent there on that position. It's just figuring out precisely how you're going to utilize it. And it's a good group. It's you got your good veterans and your good rookies and whatnot. And I like it. I look forward to seeing how that shakes out in training camp.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna stress that too hard. Linebacker is up there with me. Out of three or four positions, four at the most, that I think are the top need for the draft just to solidify. Mike Zimmer's a defensive-minded coach. He's going to take anybody that he can, that he feels he can mold there, just like he did with Anthony Barr. Um, I don't know. I don't know where we're going to grab it, but I agree with you guys. I think it's going to be addressed. It's kind of has to be addressed. So I think they're going to take care of it. I would say it's going to be towards the draft. I don't really hear of anybody else that's just floating around out there that right now that comes to the top of my head. But like you guys said, we want somebody that bad, we'll go get them. But I'm sure they're going to take care of this come April and early May when the draft rolls around.
Mm-hmm.
We know that the team does quite a bit of evaluation to know who their players are, where they're best fit, how they're progressing, and they know right now whether or not they're willing to go forward with any of these guys as a possible starter. They know all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, us at home, we don't know. So we're going to be watching the draft and seeing what happens with linebackers because that will show us the level of confidence that the team has in the players at that position. And now let's go to Kyle Smith with the bold statement.
I had to think about this one a lot. I know this would just stir up trouble. It's kind of why I asked about the Mike Wallace question on Facebook the other day. But my statement for the week, and this is all my opinion. So, like I've told you guys before, you want to yell at me next year if I'm completely wrong on all of these, please do. That just means you listened and paid attention. I believe with the Mike Wallace acquisition, this means there will not be a Devontae Parker reunion with Teddy. And it sucks to say because I love the youth. I love youth and wide receivers, and I'll tell you why. Quarterbacks have to develop. Every player has to develop as a rookie, but if they've already got chemistry with your quarterback, that's going to be a given to help them already be ahead of the game. Plus, rookies are cheap. Not going to cost us a lot of money to be productive. I just think, in my opinion, you've got to think about who we have. Adam Thielen, Jarius Wright. We had Greg Jennings. Now we have Mike Wallace. We have Cordero Patterson, who's still there. And you also have
Charles Johnson.
Charles Johnson. I almost called him Charlie Johnson. Damn it, guys. You guys got to get that together. We have a good receiver core. It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes up with Wallace coming in. But at the same time, I don't want to go, 50-50 on this. I want to stick to my bold statement. I know that the Vikings this year, especially since we don't have to look for a quarterback early as a starter because we're locked in with Teddy, I know we'll take the best player available. I think we can all agree on that. If that is a wide receiver, sure. But I think there, in my opinion, are more pressing needs for the team. And I don't think wide receiver is a number one pressing need for this team. That's why I think there won't be a Parker Bridgewater reunion. I don't think Amari Cooper is going to even make it to the 11th spot. I don't think the kid from West Virginia is going to be there.
Mr. White.
I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't feel like it's our number one position of need. I think the defense still has a lot of places it needs to be taken care of first. So that's why I'm leaning towards, as much as everybody said in the mock draft said it makes a lot of sense, and I feel it does. I just don't see him coming to us because I don't think it's number one on our list of team needs.
I think if the Vikings do draft a guy, it won't be a speedster. It'll be a taller possession guy, or it'll be a reliable hands guy to pick up first downs and move the chains. Mike Wallace takes away that need for the speedster, that 9-route guy to just take the top off defenses. So if the Vikings do draft one at 11, I feel it'll be more of a possession guy, but you can get guys like that a little later on in the draft, or you can try to hope that that guy is already on your team with a guy like Charles Johnson. And who knows? Maybe the Vikings will take a wide receiver at 11, but they'll only do it if they feel he is the best player available to fit the team.
Absolutely.
So, it's a bold statement, sir. I'm not sure I would have made it.
We'll see. I could be completely wrong. You know what? I would love to see Teddy with, a former teammate that he already knows and all that good stuff. But I feel like the Wallace thing, we coveted him last year and we didn't get him. So now that we got him, I don't think, if I was Rick Spielman, just based on what he does, I don't feel like he's going to go after a receiver unless he's absolutely sure. But we shall see, and it's not that far away. The draft is coming up very soon.
It's true. So true. And with that, that's all I have for this week. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
I would love to give a shout out real quick. I want to say thank you to everybody who answered that question. That caused a lot of feedback. I don't know if I just had a really good question, just had a good moment, or what, or you guys just, hey, this is a good topic. But thank you to everyone on the Facebook page who jumped back in and gave us your feedback. We absolutely eat that up and love it. And I tried to reply to every single one of you that day when it came up. So thank you.
I have one more. Do you guys want to do one more really, really super quick, like breaking news style quick hit?
Have at her.
Just posted on foxsports.com. And it is about our running back, Adrian Peterson.
Oh.
I'm just going to read.
Weird.
I'm going to read the first line of this article because it pretty much says everything you need to know. And then you guys, we can speculate or pass, which I'm assuming Adam will do. So here you go. Breaking news. The Minnesota Vikings will not release Adrian Peterson. The star running back's agent told Fox Sports NFL insider Mike Garofalo on Wednesday night, leaving, and this is the part that I was like, leaving Peterson's return to the team up in the air?
Huh?
Really? Like legitimately, that's what they said here. Now, let me read this again. The Minnesota Vikings will not release Adrian Peterson, according to his agent that told the insider at Fox Sports. So why does that mean that his return to the team is up in the air? We just talked about earlier in the show about how they can't trade him because of his contract. They're not going to release him. So he's going to be a Viking, right? Right?
That seems to be the logical option that's left, unless some cap team with a lot of money left throws some in that direction.
And Peterson's agent made the following statement. It was important for me to relay the position the Vikings are talking to Adrian. I want to make sure there is absolutely no confusion whatsoever. So the statement from Adrian's camp seems to be that the Vikings are not going to release him. The Vikings and Adrian are talking about contractually as to what they're going to do. So the speculation part is coming from whoever wrote this article over on Fox Sports. And that guy's full of shit. You don't know what he's talking about.
Well, there's so many things that could happen. There could be a restructure. There could be a higher rate of guaranteed money with a smaller contract trade. They could change the distribution of the current contract to allow it to be able to be absorbed by another team. They can convert some of it to bonuses so they can decrease the cap hit.
Mhm.
There's so many things that they could do from here. And honestly, I'm so tired of talking about all of them and this Adrian Peterson situation that I just wish it was over.
Yeah, me too. Well, we're close. We're legitimately, I feel, really close to the point where the draft is going to happen, and the teams who need a running back will have drafted one, and the big free agent guys like Trent Richardson
Trent,
will have already been signed to where did he go with?
Oakland.
Oakland.
Over with Christian.
Yeah, over with Ponder. So potent offense there with Ponder behind center and T. Rich in the backfield. But so his only option is going to be Minnesota here very, very, very shortly.
Well, it's hard to turn down that kind of money that's sitting on
That's
his doorstep. I gotta tell you that.
that, or he could retire. Like, what do you want to do, Adrian? You going to retire?
Hey, he's talking about wanting to be in the Olympics and
Well,
sell insurance or something.
yeah, go right ahead. Go sell insurance, Adrian. I don't think anyone's going to buy Adrian insurance.
Oh, I have something. I'm reading off of an app about a profile about a linebacker that we might possibly go. And you know what? It's on this awesome website called the Viking Age. I don't know if you
Ooh.
guys have ever heard of it, but there's a guy that has your same name, Adam Carlson, and he appears to have written this article, and it's very awesome.
Nice.
Corniest, worst way to plug it ever. Go visit the Viking Age. That's our guy there, Adam Carlson. He writes a lot of stuff for them. Go visit the Purple People podcast page on Facebook. I'll stir up a storm and ask questions that might piss you off, might make you happy. Who knows? Tell me about it. Mr. Kyle West, he does the Twitter stuff for us at Purple People Pod. Hit him up on there. Drop us a line. Tell us what you're thinking. We're like your shrinks. We listen to everything.
Yeah, don't be afraid to piss us off, confuse us, or whatever. Man, we love interacting with everything and talking Vikings with anyone. Just be sure to get a hold of us on Facebook or Twitter. And remember to stay classy, Minnesota.